Hello, welcome to Solo Playthroughs. So, I have in front of me today the components of Seventh Continent. I received Seventh Continent for my 40th birthday, which was in December, back when people were still gathering. Again, if you're watching this in the distant future, we are in the middle of coronavirus quarantine when I am taping this. So, it was one of those games I was intrigued by. Obviously missed the Kickstarter. A friend bought me the classic box, which from what I understand has, just a trimmed down version from, the big box, and played it cooperatively with a good friend of mine a bunch of times, a bunch of hours, I should say, not that many times, but played hours and hours and hours to finally beat the first curse, the Voracious Goddess. And the whole time I was so confused as to why this game would come out and not have anything akin to a starter scenario. It just was so crazy to me. The rule book suffers from the same things a lot of rule books suffer from. It's a lot of ambiguity. Don't find that user friendly, and it would have been nice to have a less onerous task ahead of you as you learn the game, got some success under your belt, and then took on the Voracious Goddess. And then after I finally beat the Voracious Goddess, spent a lot of time on the Serious Pulp website and learned more about the fact that there actually was a beginner curse called the Crystal's Song. So I picked that up as an expansion. I picked up two other curses off the Serious Pulp. So my experience with this game coming in is I've played the Voracious Goddess a bunch, and this is literally the first time I am going to play the Crystal Song. Now, putting this on my channel, I have some hesitation more than most games, just because of spoilers, but I feel like the Crystal Song, from what I'm gathering from it, the spoilers aren't as big of a deal, because really the actual story or the curse and figuring how to lift the curse, I don't think is going to be as serious as it is in Voracious Goddess, that this is really built just for someone to learn the game. So I think it'd be perfect for this channel, and supposedly, allegedly, I'll be able to do this in under 2 hours. So that is the plan. So here we have set up on this table, I have the advanced, what's worked for me as I've learned this game. We have a card. This says the past. This says banished cards. So cards that are just discarded often go just to the past. If it says to banish them, I will put them there. You'll notice I have any cards that are shuffled, I have sleeved up. There are 30 base level skill cards. And then the advanced skill cards all cost a number of experience points. Then you can get access to them as the game goes on. And you'll see these cards, they have an assortment of stars, half stars, and sevens on them. If you've never played this game, I will explain to you how all that works as we go. Into this base set, we're going to put the 5 curses. So there are 4 curses that go into every game of Seventh Continent. And then there is a 5th curse that is unique to each curse that you're playing. So since we're playing through the Crystal Song curse, I will use the Crystal Song curse card, which is functionally the exact same as every other curse card for the other curses that you can play. Now there's 5 more cards we need to add to this deck. I'm going to need to randomly pick one of the 5 characters, and I'll just line them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I rolled a 2, so I am getting her, who is I think the botanist. So, and she's gonna get a fire token, and I'm gonna grab her cards. So her special cards are, that is, yes, Keelan McCluskey, who I believe these are all historical figures, but if I'm wrong about that, someone correct me in the chat or the comments below. So Colleen Mccluskey is the heiress of a wealthy manufacturer. Keelan has always been passionate about herbs and plants. Thanks to her botanical knowledge, she was able to survive being poisoned by her unmannerly husband, whose greed led him to the gallows. Freed from her married life, Keelan got involved in and partially funded the first expedition to the seventh continent. Now, obviously, that's not an historical event, but I believe she might be based on some kind of historical person. She plans to name the first carnivorous plant she discovers after her ex-husband. Keelan, you notice the character card is a red state card, so that's something to keep in mind over the course of the game. And whenever you are able to use a card with the keyword botany, you may discard one card with the keyword vigilance from your hand or your inventory in order to use another card with the keyword botany instead. I hope to be able to show that on this playthrough. It has been something I haven't had a lot of success doing in my plays of this game when I've played with Miss McCluskey or when my friend has played her, but we'll figure that out. And then additionally, there is a move action bonus on here. So whenever taking a move action, if you move to a terrain card where there is another explorer, obviously we're playing solo, so that's not going to be applicable to us, or a fire figure, this is our fire figure, then you can use one less life force to do that. So again, when I say life force is basically these cards that I'm shuffling in front of me, and there are a total of, then you notice each character has their own, has 5 special cards, which I'm going to shuffle right into the deck. This is your life force. Now, everything you do requires some expenditure of energy, life force. So it's going to require discarding cards from, or pulling cards from this stack of cards. And ultimately, if you ever run out of cards, well, then you are at risk of succumbing to the curse and dying. So let's just, because we might not get there to this playthrough, depending on how easy or hard this is. So basically, say I've gone through all my cards through the course of the game. So my draw pile is now empty. What I would do is I would turn the discard pile face up, and when I need to draw a card, I would shuffle it, and then I would draw whatever cards I need. And if one of those cards I drew in trying to accomplish whatever action I was trying to accomplish was a curse, if I drew a curse that way, when again I'm drawing from the discard pile, that curse would kill me. All right, so that's how that mechanic would work. So we'll see if we get there or we don't. So I'm going to shuffle up this skill deck, life force, whatever, action cards, curses, this collection of 45 awesome things, and we'll put this over here. So actually, let's get this rule book off the table. Again, not that helpful anyway. We'll put this up here. I'll make sure that is on camera. What other cards do I have here? So every curse, your character is going to have the Satchel and Journal. This old satchel means the world to you and holds all your most valuable discoveries. The journal inside it contains the notes that you and your companions took during the previous expedition to the 7th continent. It serves as a very, very invaluable source of knowledge. And then on the top of the Satchel and Journal card, you'll see that there are different setups. So in a 4-player game, 3-player game, 2-player game, 1-player game. 1-player game, you can have 4 green cards in your hand, and you can have 5 blue cards in your hand at any one time. If you ever get to a point where you would exceed that amount, you do have to discard down to that limit. And then you could have, there are 4 black cubes here. They represent these dice. You can have 4 items in front of you, each that have 4 subparts. All right, and that's the general rule. There are things that can augment that as you go. So that is good to keep in mind. In a 2-player game, by contrast, you can only have 3 items, and each of those can only have 3 subparts. So you see how in a 4-player game, in a 1-player game, a solo game, you actually have a lot more variety of cards that you have to hold, because those cards will enable you to do the various tests that you're going to need to do well in this game. Now, any card we get over the course of the game that has this book symbol that is pictured on the Satchel and Journal card, any card that has that symbol there will just be stored under the Satchel and Journal. I normally, as long as I have room, I will just spray them out on this side of the table, and so I have easier viewpoint of all of them. All right, the Crystal Song. This is the story of this curse. You were recently approached by a government agency to take part in a top secret mission of utmost importance. Now, finding yourself on a dinghy and preparing to make landfall, you think back to Captain Nedland's instructions at your last briefing. Many years ago, a number of vessels in our fleet were attacked by a strange submersible craft commanded by a dangerous individual by the name of Nemo. Many of our allies were also hit, but fortunately we managed to track him and capture several of his crew. Under interrogation, the prisoners revealed that their vessel was fueled by mysterious crystals, and that they also provided extraordinary propulsive power through the water. This energy source is of great interest to us, which is where you come in. Several months ago, one of our agents took part in an expedition to that new continent all the papers are talking about. While there, he found crystals matching the description of those we are looking for. All right, clue, the crystal song. They emit a faint pink glow and a strange buzzing sound. Your mission is simple. Travel to the new continent and bring back as many of the crystals as you can carry. However, time is of the essence. We have lost radio communication with every agent that has attempted this mission within 48 hours of going ashore and haven't heard from a single one of them since. We have these instructions. Begin the adventure by putting one of the following cards into play. So we're going to take a 009, a 123, or a 132. Having never played this, this is literally my first time ever going through this little curse. I'm going to roll this. A 1 or 2, I'm going to lift the 009. A 4, 3, or 4, I'm going to do the 123. Or a 5 or a 6, I'll get the 132. I rolled a 6. So I'm going to take a 132 card out of the index. Now, one of the things about this game that can be a little annoying, but I've kind of gotten used to it, is that it does sometimes feel like you're a librarian using the old school Dewey Decimal System back in elementary school that you learned back in elementary school. But again, it's generally speaking a very well organized index here, and these boxes are actually fairly helpful. They don't fit the expansions exactly right, but that's another story altogether. So this is the 132 card, and a lot of the cards that you pull will have text on the back. All right, and so I'm going to read that. The area appears to be clear of any danger. However, a few fresh tracks suggest that some animals have passed through here recently. So we're going to put this in play. Now, when you put a card in play, so we're going to move this out of the way, and we're going to put this in somewhat central in the board. When you put a card in play, a couple things happen before I get there. So this, you notice this card has that symbol we were talking about a minute ago. So I'm going to put this over here. It will go with our Satchel and Journal. And actually, let me read the rest of this clue. Each player places their finger onto it. When you put a terrain card and this attached exploration cards into play, you must choose one of the exploration cards to be replaced by an exploration card that has a specific symbol for this curse. If you need to take an exploration card and there is none available in the exploration deck, your mission is over. Take a 559 card. All right, so this curse, reading from that, is basically you want to get through these exploration cards, and when you've done all that you can do, then your mission is over. All right, so it's more of a timed mission as opposed to you can't finish until a certain thing happens, which makes me more hopeful that we'll get this thing in a reasonable time. All right, so when you put a card in play, you are going to put okay, making sure I'm doing these mechanics right. So, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the exploration cards that are indicated here. So see, you have these two orange arrows. They both have a Roman numeral 2. So I'm going to go to the exploration cards that have the Roman numeral 2. I'm going to shuffle them up real good, and then we're going to put them on our character, on our board in the appropriate locations. So notice there's not an arrow pointing north, but there is one pointing to the west. So I'll put a number 2 there, and there is one pointing to the east, so I'm going to put a number 2 there as well. The other thing we see on this card is we see some tracks, some footprints of indicating animals that have been there. We see a symbol which indicates a spot observe action and instructions on how to do that. And we also see that we can find the resource of foliage on the place as well. So I'm going to take my little fire figure, put that next to my character card. Obviously, I have not created a fire yet, and I'm going to start there. Now, according to the instructions of our clue, when you put a terrain card and its attached exploration cards into play, you must choose one of the exploration cards to be replaced by one of these special crystal exploration cards. So I'm going to put this in its little slot in here, and I'm going to choose, I don't care, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to roll. I rolled a 6, so I'm going to replace that one with the crystal one and put that over in the past. All right, it doesn't say to return it. So basically, we're going to have to explore enough locations that we find we have to put exploration cards, and then we will go ahead and replace those exploration cards. All right, that works for me. So let's do our first action, right? So we're in this island, and there's all these different actions that we could do as per this reference card, and they go from movement all the way down to prayer, playing music, resting, blah, 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 blah. Now, a lot of those actions you can only do if you have something that triggers your ability to do that. Now, the thing that could trigger it could be something in your inventory, it could be something in your hand, it could be something on the tile you're on, or it could be something next door to you, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a card to do the action that's this observe action that's listed on the terrain that I'm standing on, right? Because so if you look at that action, it has two numbers. There's a number in a blue diamond, and then there's a number in a star. The number in a blue diamond is the number of cards I have to draw, and I could always draw more if there's a plus symbol. So that says 1+. The number of stars I need is 0. So I can't fail this test. It's just a matter of spending the energy I'm going to need to do to actually, conduct the test itself, or conduct the action. So I am going to do that observe action. It's 1+ and 0, so I'm going to draw 1 card, and I don't need any stars, so I succeed. So you're going to go the action resolution timing of things is actually really helpful, right? So we're at step 2. I've done the cost. I drew the 1 card, right? Step 1 was if you had items that could help, you could actually spend those, but I had that wasn't relevant to where we're at right now. The result is I succeed, right? I didn't need any stars. I pulled only half a star, which I had no stars, but I still succeed, so that's good. Now I can choose one of the cards that were revealed and put it in my hand. So I'm going to take this herbal mixture and put it in my hand. It's an idea of an invention that I can have that at some point in the future I can actually build it, and we'll talk about how to do that. Now, we have to discard all other cards, but I took the 1 card. There are no other cards, so I don't have to discard any. And now we're going to apply the consequence. The consequence of this action is, as it says in that white box there, I pull a 74. All right, so we're finding 74 in the box. We're pulling it out, and we're going to read, animal spore and some tufts of fur on the nearby rocks indicate animal activity of some kind. You hide and wait in ambush, ready to pounce on any potential prey. So we're going to put this into play, and we are going to flip it. Now, you'll see that observe symbol is in that arrow there, which indicates how this connects to the terrain tile that we're standing on. It connects from the bottom, and you have I believe that's a hunt. Yep, that's a hunt test that is locked. That lock symbol means that we can only draw the number of cards listed in the blue diamond. It doesn't have a 2+, it says 2, so we can only draw 2, and to succeed we need at least 3 stars, which is going to be very hard for us to do with our current cards in our hand and our current inventory. We have nothing to aid in hunting, so we're going to know that's there. That's good. We might come back to that later. All right, and I assume I'll hunt at least once, and once we do that I'll kind of explain how that works. So what do I want to do? You'll notice the card I have in my hand, and again, this is one of the blue cards. I'm allowed to have 5 in my hand at one time. The card I have in my hand has an herbal mixture, and it can help in 3 different kinds of tests. It can help in a rest action, a decipher action, or a think action. I think that means think. Make sure I'm using the right verbiage here. Yep, think, compose myself action. So that seems like a decent thing to build. I don't have anything in my inventory yet, so why not? So the craft action would cost me 3 cards, so 3 life force, right? And again, it's 3+, so if I really wanted to draw more cards, I could. And it has 0 I need 0 stars to succeed. So I'm going to succeed again. And if I have access to leaf, or foliage, I should say, or bamboo, I can reduce the cost of the craft action because I'm in a terrain that makes it especially much easier for me to actually build this item. So even though I don't have access to bamboo, if I had bamboo and foliage, I could do this for free, but I don't. I just have the foliage. So what I'm going to do is, or foliage, I always say that word wrong. My wife makes fun of me, but that's fine. We're good. I'm going to do the craft action. So I'm going to put this card down. I'm going to spend 3 minus 2 because I have access to the foliage, and I'm going to pull the 1 card because I don't have bamboo. I get the knowledge as power card. I can choose this card, put it in my hand, and now I built this item and have started to build my inventory a little bit here. All right. Now the item comes in with 3 uses on it, and every time I use this in the future, it's going to go down 1 pip. But there's going to be a way that we can potentially get more pips on there and make some super items. But if they match keywords, but we'll kind of get into that in a little bit. So here I am on this foliage, and I have just built my herbal mixture. Man, I'm tough time pronouncing things today, but that is okay. We are now going to do our next action, right? The action I want to do is I think that's a pathfinding action. Yep, pathfind escape. I'm going to do this action. I can do that. It's on a card that's adjacent to me. I don't have to draw any cards. It's a 0+ action, and I need 0 stars to succeed. But I don't have any cards in my hand, so I think it'd be helpful to actually draw a card and see what I get. So I'm going to do this action, 0+. I'm going to choose to do the plus. Cool, I have an ability to make fire now. I'm going to put this in my hand. I do succeed. I'm going to put this in my hand, discard the other cards. There are none. And since I succeed, what does it say? It says flip this. So we're going to flip that, and we get a crystal fragment. All right, so the crystal fragment is stuck here. And it says on it, a fist-sized crystal fragment is solidly lodged in the rock. So I can do 2 actions. One is I can't draw any cards and I need 3 successes, or if I'm tired, I can't draw any cards and I need 6 successes. I managed to pry the crystal from the rock and hurriedly stow it in my bag, and I would actually be able to put this in my satchel because it has that's where it tells me where to store it. So for right now, this card is going to sit there until I find a way to do that action. Right now, if I failed. If I try that test and I fail, what happens is this actually gets thrown out and it's banished. But I'm guessing since we want to get the crystal fragments, that's why we're here. That's cool. I had no idea I had no idea that this is how this scenario was going to work, but I find that really cool. So now I got to find a way how to get 3 successes without drawing any cards, which sounds impossible, but I think we'll be able to figure it out. But we're going to need to get certain cards out of our deck here. All right, so what am I going to do? The next action I want to do is, I'm not going to build a fire right now because there's really no need to do that. But I have this card in my hand. It says you get more experience. I can take 1 0/0/3 card from the deck, and I have this herbal mixture here, which allows me to get some help with this action. So I am going to use my herbal mixture. So I'm going to do this test, and when I'm doing a think test, I can spend -1 card, and or I can get a star and a star 7. So I don't want the -1 card because, again, I want to get some more cards in my hand right now, but I just want to get the experience. So I'm going to draw a card. I know I succeed anyway. I drew this card. So this is, you may discard this during an action you are involved with in order to apply the following effect, either a -2 or a 7, and I'll explain how 7s work in the future. I get to put this card in my hand, and I've succeeded, so we're going to carry out the positive result, and that means I get to take a 0/0/3 card. A 0/0/3 cards are always experience. This one says, a memory from your previous expedition comes to mind. Jimmy, the military demolition specialist, kept repeating, if a stupid rock is stopping you, y'all get rid of it faster with dynamite than with the pickaxe. Experience point. Sometimes it's wise to postpone an action until you have the appropriate equipment. When you need to spend experience points, return this to spend 1. Now I'm going to put experience points, always have the satchel symbol in the corner. I'm going to put that there. I have 1 experience point, and later when you do certain things, you will find a way to use that experience points to get some of the advanced actions. So since I have done this, I'm going to now put this in the discard pile there. All right, so we're going to start building our discard pile as we go here. Well, I can't hunt. I don't have the cards. I'm going to need some kind of shovel or something to help with getting that crystal fragment. And I obviously really want it. So what I'm going to do, instead of failing this action, I'm going to try to make sure I can get it. I'm going to do the Pathfind action on the other side. Now this is one of the normal adventure cards, not one of the special ones just for this curse. So it says flip this. I flip this, and I chose not to draw any cards this time, but that's fine. And this is an item that was underneath that exploration card. It is a bamboo tube. You have broken off a little fragment of bamboo that should enable you to breathe underwater. Now, there's 2 different uses for this card. They're both one time because the instructions on the card say when you use it to discard it. So I can use the bamboo tube as bamboo during a craft action to reduce the cost of building an item, or I could use it during a sale action, which would actually give me 1 star toward that action. Now it's nice, it says using this does not lower the durability of the item, so I'm going to create a second item pile, and this is going to have 1 use on it. It doesn't have any keywords, so I can't attach anything to it. So, but I don't want to attach it here and then lose it if I end up using all of those pips before I use that. So I think we're good for now. But since I succeeded, now we're going to pull the 54 out of the pile. So, because you'll see on there you go. I knew there was a symbol for this. In the corner, you'll see how it says gray to green. So basically, once this effect is resolved, this effect is just basically putting this in my inventory. It says replace the gray card with the green card. The green card on the back says the wind whistles through the boughs of the tall pines, carrying both the scent of sea spray and a faint underlying smell of rot. Put 54 into play. We see more animal tracks. You always want to check a card to see if you see any hidden numbers, because sometimes you can see things that are really cool. I don't see any hidden numbers. That's fine. So we're going to put this into play. And what we do see are more of those exploration symbols. Now there are 3 things. They all say 2. So I'm going to take the top. Remember, I shuffled this 2 deck earlier. And I'm going to put this one into play in the south, this one to play in the west, and this one to play in north. I'm going to roll a die to randomize which one I'm going to put the special crystal song exploration card next to. I rolled a 3. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to replace this one over here with, put this one in the past, and I'm going to put one of the crystal song exploration cards into play on over here. So where am I? So just Pathfind, notice I don't move there automatically. I just flip it over because I'm looking at it. So I've learned more of my surroundings as one action, and now with my next action I can go there. So I want to move to this place. There isn't a fire figure there, or obviously another player, so I'm going to have to pay full cost, otherwise I would get the benefit of what's on my state card. So I'm going to use the movement on my card, and it says 1+ 0 successes needed. So I'm going to draw 1 card. I get a woven basket. That is a really nice card to get. And I am going to move, so I can move anywhere that's revealed that is not blocked by a mandatory test. So this is connected. There's nothing stopping me from going right there. Great. I still have nothing to help me hunt. I have nothing to help me dig. So we are going to have to figure out our next steps a little more methodically. Yeah, that's a word. I don't know. I'm struggling right now, guys. It's fine. So we're going to do the Pathfind action here. We're going to flip this over. Wall of Thorns. So this says that a large thorny bank bank blocks the narrow path you have been following. You should be able to make your way through easily if you light a fire. If you have the fire resource, I can just automatically discard this. But for the meantime, that's why this is here. It has foliage, and I will have access to foliage here just as much as I did there because it's on an adjoining. It's not an adjoining terrain, it's just an adjoining card that's going to give me access to that. So I might want to consider lighting my fire there when I get the opportunity. But nothing to help build a fire. I could put my woven cord in play. Not super excited about that prospect. So let me move on here and see what else I could do or maybe get. Skill. Okay. So I am going to, again, use the Pathfind ability to flip this. Take a break. All right. So you are nearly asleep on your feet, each step coming slower and more labored. However, sleeping under the stars on this stony ground and without adequate shelter might make things worse. So I have to do this test. You notice that red border with the red angry squiggle around the rest action. So it says 0 plus. I need 2 stars to succeed. If I succeed, then I can draw a 000 card, and each character can return their tired state. If I fail, then I have to take a 101 card. If I get 0 successes, and I have to take a 102 card. If I got 1 success, either way, I'm really hoping not to fail, but eesh. All right. So I need 2 stars. Honestly, I can draw as many cards as I want. I really don't want to fail this one. And one of the nice things about this rule book, one of the few nice things about this rule book, if I'm being honest, is it does have a chart that if you draw 3 cards, and you need 2 stars, you're 75% likely to succeed. If you draw 2 cards and you need 2 stars, you're 45% likely to succeed. If you draw 4 cards and you need 2 stars, you're 90% likely to succeed. Now, most of the cards I've drawn, 2 of them have had stars, 2 of them haven't. I really didn't want to succeed this one. I haven't drawn any of my curses yet, which obviously don't have any stars on there. So, and I want to start getting through my deck to see what's there. So I am going to do this test because I have to. I'm going to draw 4 cards because I want to succeed. That's 1. So that is already the 2 stars I need because I can make a star, and I have a star, and these are my special cards. So I have 3 stars, and I have a 7. So I have a total of 3 stars, so I succeed. All right, so I know I succeed. I get to choose one of these cards and put it in my hand. Splint. And I'm really not getting the cards I need. I'm going to take the Scholar. So as long as this is in my hand, I get the effect of a -1. It's basically like, oh, you know what? That's fine. I could have used the herbal mixture to do that rest action. So that was my fault. I should have definitely been looking at my items. But I still wanted to draw a lot of cards anyway because I'm digging for a couple of specific cards right now, like namely a shovel. So I can decide which of these cards I would like to keep. The Splint could come in handy. The Scholar could come in handy. Scholar's almost redundant with this, so maybe I wouldn't take the Scholar. I could definitely build the Splint. That might be a good idea. So let me do that. I'm going to take the Splint, put that on my hand. The rest of them just go to the discard pile. And since I succeeded, I now take a 000 card. And when you take a 000 card, that's how you start spending experience. Unfortunately, I have no experience to spend because that 1's not going to be enough to buy anything. But how that would work is I would draw the top 4 cards of the advanced actions here. And you'll notice that they have numbers. So this would cost 5 experience, 6 experience, 7 experience, 8 experience. Literally, those were shuffled. That just worked out that way, that was all in order. But you can see there's a lot of 7s on these. So really enhances the power of a star 7, which again, we'll explain in the future if you don't already know. In theory, if I had experience sufficient to buy any of these, I can buy it and then either put that card I bought in my hand or shuffle it into the action deck, which will help give you even more life force in the future. Since I'm not buying any of them, I'm going to keep all my experience because I didn't spend any of it, and I'm going to shuffle those 4 cards back to keep this random, and we are going to then return this here. And on the bottom of this, it says return this card. So 000 is going to go right back to the front of our handy dandy card organizer here. And since this is resolved, I'm going to put this in the past. And it says, again, it has the same symbol, the gray to the green. I'm going to put a 59 in play, which is the number on my terrain. 59, where are you? Here you are. All right, at the center of a little clearing, you see a hut with a small plume of smoke rising up through its roof. All right, this might actually be new territory for me. So I don't see any numbers on it, so we're going to put that into play there. And there are 2 number 2s on that, so we're going to put both of those into play. And then I'm going to stick with my pattern of randomizing which one of those I'm going to take out of play. I rolled a 6, so this one is gone. Put that in the past, and we are going to put one of these special crystal shard ones right there. All right, so there is that action up there is similar, so it's the go see investigate. One of these, I do find it a little bizarre that they didn't like just merge some of these things, like observe and investigate. Like, really, you could have just done one thing there. I mean, there's a lot of little funny quirks about this game that can, I guess they add to it, but can also be a little annoying as well. What am I going to do? I want to build this splint. So that craft action cost me 2 because I don't want to have too many blue cards and start having to throw them out. So I'm going to build a splint. The craft action is going to cost me 2 cards. I can actually discard the bamboo tube and use that bamboo. So now it's only going to cost me 1 card because I do not have access, and put that in the past because it says discard and not banish. And I'm going to grab a card because I don't have access to vine. And this is the shovel I needed. So I will take the shovel into my hand. That is a beautiful thing. And we are going to now build the splint. Now I can combine the splint with the herbal mixture because they both have the keyword serenity. So I'm going to put that right there. And since they have the same keyword, now I could combine it even if they didn't, right? The benefit of them having the same keyword, to be really clear, is now I can take the 3 uses that's on the splint and I could add it to the 2 uses that I had left on the herbal mixture, and I can make that a 5. If they didn't have the same keyword, I could still add it there, but that would have remained a 2 instead of a 5, which obviously would not have been as good. All right, so that's that. I'm going to add, I have a feeling she doesn't have a lot of serenity things, but there's stamina too. Let me do this. Stamina, a lot of the food is stamina, so spoiler alert, I'm going to, I still have access to the foliage from that. I'm going to draw 1 card to, so forewarned is forearmed. You may discard this during the result step of an action you are involved in order to apply the following effect and get an extra star. That's nice. So this is in my hand. Again, I also had to pull 1 because I didn't have the vine. So this is a 3 craft action, but I had the minus the 2 because of that foliage symbol there. So I just drew the 1, and I'm going to put the woven basket into play at the top of a new item stack. Now what this says is it is the keywords of serenity and stamina, and when this is in your inventory, the item it is part of may contain 3 additional item cards. So this card can actually contain up to 7 cards opposed to just, including the woven basket, as opposed to just the 4. Now I could have combined this here and made that a 6, but I had some strategic reasons why I wanted to actually just start a second item. So that is good, and I guess so I can get 7 star 7 1 2. I'm close to being able to do that crystal fragment action, but not quite. All right, I'm going to now flip this. So we're doing more pathfinding. It is a crystal fragment. You are sure that there must be a crystal within your reach. Each involved character may discard any number of cards with the keyword vigilance from their hand and or inventory. So normally when you construct an item, you cannot just willy-nilly take certain items apart unless there's an instruction that gives you that ability. So this would be such an instruction. But I don't have anything with the keyword vigilance in my hand or in my inventory yet. So for each card discarded this way, you get +1 star during the result step of the following action. It's an aburb action. It is a 0, and you need 4 stars. And if you get this crystal fragment, you could store this card underneath the Satchel and Journal. All right, so another test that's going to require getting some free stars heading our way. Rough. So the shovel is okay. That's not great. Let's see what else I can pull off here. The fire resource. I don't. There's a vine resource up there. Okay, great. So I am going to shoot. I'm going to do a move action to go here. It's going to cost me 2 because on my terrain it says 2 plus 0. I'm just going to take the 2. And I do not want a raft right now, so I'm going to keep this think card, and I'm going to move here as the consequence of that action. There is a think action. It is a 0/0, so I'm going to take that card, that action on this card. It says take the top 7 cards from the action deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now it says I can return. I can take one of these cards to my hand. So there's 3 curses here. So this is actually really nice. I take one of these cards into my hand. Okay, I can take one of these cards in my hand, and then I can put the rest of the cards, shuffle them back to the action deck, or I can put them in the discard pile. My choice for each card. I already have a fire making kit. I could do that. That's probably not that useful. So I'm going to take this one card into my hand. I'm going to put these 3 curses into the discard pile. And then I'm going to put these cards, which all have stars on it, back into the action deck. And since I did this action on this card is discarded. All right. Let's see if we can't get some special abilities here. And I am going to need to start worrying about food at some point, but I have not gotten anything to help me with hunting. So that's a little unfortunate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this card in play. I'm going to lower the pip of my herbal mixture, and that's going to go down to a 4. And so that gives me a -1 and or a star. So I have, this is a locked test. I need to draw 1 card, but I can modify that with my item. And I have the star I need, so I can take 2 50 cards, keep 1, and discard the other. So these are the 50 cards. The 50 cards are like all sorts of special cards that give you all sorts of special abilities and whatnot. They really do dovetail a lot with Keelan's general abilities. So I'm going to shuffle those up real good, and then I'm going to take 2 of those cards, or moderately good. I keep 1 and return the other. Since I've done this, this goes here. So what are our 2 things here? They're both botany cards, again, which is useful. The Vampalina says, this page torn from a botanist journal reads, Vampalina seems to slow down testosterone production. Being so far from my laboratory, I cannot prove it for certain, but the experiments I carried out with this group leave no doubt that this plant has definite calming properties. When this plant can be seen on a terrain card, you may shuffle keywords with the keyword aggressiveness from your hand back into the action deck. Not that useful. Fortiflora. I don't see either of these plants on any of these terrains that I'm on. So this page torn from a botanist journal reads, Fortiflora, which can be easily mistaken for a large artichoke, is an extremely flammable succulent. When this plant can be seen on your terrain card, you can do a fire test to put a fire figure into play onto your card. Now I don't see either of these on my current locations, but I think this will be a much more helpful ability, so I'm going to do that. And remember, if I get multiple of these botany cards, if I have the ability to do 1, I can, because I'm magical, I can then actually do the ability of another by just discarding a card with the keyword vigilance from my hand or inventory. But again, I'm not seeing a lot of vigilance cards. So this one gets returned. I'm going to shuffle this in, and that's okay. We are now going to do some crafting, I think. Let's add the, well, nope. They're gonna make the, well, now that I have that, maybe I don't want to feel the pressure to put the woven cord into play. Actually, I'm going to probably want to build a fire there. When I do, the shovel's going to cost me some stuff. All right, so I'm going to flip this terrain card, or this exploration card. It has an immediate thing. You drop something. To your dismay, you realize that you must have dropped one of your items. You spot the item on the ground. Listen. So if I succeed, so it's 0+ cards. I need 1 star. If I succeed, I can choose 1 card of the keyword vigilance in the discard pile and add it to my hand. If I fail, I must discard 1 card from my inventory, which I don't want to do. So I do want to succeed at this. It is a mandatory test that needs to happen right away. Now, if I kept that card with the observe symbol, that was my special character card, I wouldn't have to worry about this. But let me make sure I succeed. I'm going to draw 2 cards. I would have succeeded both. I don't need the fire thing, so I'm going to keep the club because it's a much more helpful card for me. And since I succeeded, I can choose 1 card with the keyword vigilance in the discard pile and add it to my hand. I have a feeling I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. And actually, it wasn't the observe symbol on there. It was the touch symbol. So I'm going to choose not to. And this is resolved, and it has, again, you turn the exploration card into the green card that's supposed to go there, which is number 86. 86, where are you? All right. Muddy puddles and muck-covered ground are making each step laborious and tiring. As if that weren't enough, mosquitoes and other swamp insects constantly assail you, happy to find a source of fresh blood. So I'm putting this into play. Ooh, looks gross. It does have bamboo. I can walk there. And when I put that into play, I need to put 2 cards into play. And this is there, so we're not going to put another card there. That's just stuck. And I'm going to put a 7 into play. So let me shuffle these up. And the crazy thing is, since I'm putting exploration cards into play, I shuffle this up, I have to choose 1 to replace with 1 of these special crystal shard exploration cards. So this is going to get actually put right into the past, and the crystal shard card is going to come onto the board instead. All right, so before I head over there, let me see what I have to do here. It's crystal shard, I'm flipping this, the Pathfind. It's an immediate test that I have to do. You needle in a haystack. You inspect every rock, shrub, and crevice you find along the way, painfully aware that you inspect every rock, shrub, and crevice you find along the way, painfully aware that the influential men impatiently awaiting your return to the USS Texas, just a few miles away, will not be satisfied with anything but success. As of now, you have little hope of that. However, we have to do a think test. It's 0+. For every problem, there's a solution. The active player may choose 1 blue card in the action deck or the discard pile and add this to their hand. That we would banish this. Or if we fail, then it would be we take a 1/0/1 card, which would make us tired. And honestly, it's not the worst idea. I don't want to be burning up a lot of cards doing this test. That's going to require. I really want to save these stars and stuff. So you know what? It is what it is. I'm probably just going to fail this, which is fine. So I am not going to draw any cards. I fail. This gets banished. But because I failed, I have to take a 1/0/1 card. Now, 1/0/1. There are 1/0/0 through like 1/0/8, I believe, are all different kinds of negative states. They're the red cards. 2 of those, and each of those numbers has a symbol on it that makes you discard a certain number of cards relative to how many state cards you have. 3 of them do not. So you have a 40% chance every time you draw one of those state cards that you will end up losing some of your life force just because you have a bad negative state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll, and I'm going to get the corresponding numbers. I got 5. So for me, this helps make sure I'm randomizing this without getting into a rut. I'm going to pull the 5th 1/0/1 card in my collection. So it'll be the very last one in the back, and we're going to look. The symbol that we're talking about would be right there. That is not there. So now I just put this tired state into play, and I can do a rest action to return that when I want in the future. All right. So that's fine. And since that was resolved, it had that exploration card into green card again. We're going to put a 66 into play next to me right here. A conical earthen hillock rises up above the snow. And we're going to put two number twos in play. 1 and 2. Make sure there's no numbers on either of these, actually. Oh. There's not a number on this one, but I found the number on this one. So this says 57. All right, it's kind of hidden in that little corner over there, but when that happens, I'm going to take this card, and instead of pulling that card, I'm going to pull 57 instead. And you'll notice when you see that, if you're on the right path, it will have the number where you saw it. So it says 66, thumbs up, we're good. I'm going to put this in the past. I'm going to put this in instead. An odd mound looms eerily above you. As you approach, you notice that some openings are wide enough that you can slip your arm inside of them. And this, we have a new action on this card that wasn't on the old one. We put these in play. Now, since we added new exploration cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm going to roll. It's a 5, so this is going to go away into the past, and we're going to replace that with one of the special crystal shard cards. And I don't think we have many more of those. 4. And I have successfully gotten 0 shards. Go me. All right. What are we doing? This one needs snowshoes to get out of there. I'm not sure I want to keep going that way. I am going to want to loop back here to hunt. Still don't really have anything that's going to be amazingly helpful with hunting, which is unfortunate. So before we leave our current place, woven cord. I'm going to put the woven cord in play to have an ability to make fire. So I'm going to do that craft action. It's going to be 1. It's going to be cost 2 cards, but because I have access to vine, it's only going to cost 1. So I take this card. I put this in play. This says you may discard this card, so I can actually put this in my hand because I can, but I'm not that upset. This is a card I'll probably discard pretty soon. This has the skill keyword, and now I can do a make a fire action in the future. And if I succeed, then I'll be able to put my fire figure on play, which will help make my eating more efficient. So that's built. Now I'm going to take the 1 card, and it has to be 1 or 1 plus. So I'm going to take the 1. I have nothing to reduce that action. Great. That's what I wanted. All right. So I take, I'm going to drop the card I just picked up. So I put this card in my hand, and now since I succeeded this test, or I spent the energy necessary for that test, I will take the 98 out of here. Oh, there are 2 98s. So I'm going to roll. I'm going to get the second one because I rolled a 4. All right. An old man sitting by the fire stares at you at length and eventually speaks to you in a strange language. Will you try to communicate or get ready to fight? If you want to take the following action, you must discard 1 card from the front card with the keyword food or clothing from your inventory. I don't have any such cards. If I do, I take a 153 from the adventure deck. Secondly, I could fight this guy. And if I do, I banish the terrain I'm on. Banish your terrain card and replace it with a 59 card. And then banish this card and replace it with a 63 card. So again, the observation symbol is going to go there. So the arrow is pointing down. So that's how that's connected. There is a fire resource there. I have no food to give this dude. And you enter the hut is the only text that was there. I'm really curious what the other card was. Man, like I am just not set up to do any of this stuff. So I'm going to do the craft action. This is a aggressiveness. I am going to, it's going to cost, it would cost 3 plus. I already have access to the vine, so it's going to cost 2. I'm going to take these 2 cards. One's a curse, so I will take the war paint. Put this in, and since I crafted this, I can put this. This is my 4th and final inventory. I'm actually going to move the woven basket to the end, and we are good. Now, 7 lucky star -1. what I'm going to do is take, because without much better to do right now, I'm going to take the fight action. So I'm going to I decide what items I'm going to use. I'm going to use this item here because it has the fight symbol and it's a -1 card pull. So that's that. And then I'm going to use my club, which is going to give me 2 successes and a star 7. Now what the star 7 means is that in itself is not a star, but for every 7 I pull in resolution of an action, that star 7 will count as an additional success. So if I pull 2 7s, that's actually going to give me 2 stars. If I pull 1 7, it gives me 1. If I pull 0, it gives me squadouche. So I'm going to do this test. It's only going to cost me 1 card because I had the -1 here. So I pull. It is knowledge is power. I don't want to drop the cards in my hand, unfortunately, so we are going to leave this be and let that go back there. So I fought this guy, and what are my instructions now? Success, I'm going to banish this card, and I get a 59 card. There are no green 59 cards, so I have to put the gold 59 card in play. So you always put green in unless you're instructed to take a gold, and if you're instructed to take that number and there's no green, then you take the gold. At the center of a little clearing, there appears to be the singed and burned remains of what was once a hut. And then we're going to replace the hut with a 63. And maybe it wasn't the nicest idea to fight this guy. So 63. Ooh. The man lies in a pool of blood. The hut is now in disarray, and the fire died while you were fighting. I can take a 73 card if I succeed at an observe test. And then there's a banner, but I'm not really that worried of a banner. So I put this in play here, and this card is also banished. Okay, so I guess I should see what's going on there. That's fine. Yeah, I am really confused right now. But I probably shouldn't leave there, so I'm still on that terrain. I probably shouldn't leave there until I figure that out. So it's I need 0 plus stars, 0 plus cards. I need 1 star, so I'm going to take 2. Nice. There you go. That might be helpful. That could be helpful. Both of those could be helpful. All right, I'm gonna get rid of war paint. I'm not gonna add to my aggressiveness. Definitely gonna get rid of blow pipe. I'm gonna get rid of Lucky Star. And I'm gonna get this card's great because it gives you 2 stars you can add, but it makes you tired. So that might not be the greatest thing, especially if I want to do the shovel action. So I'm gonna grab this card, and then hopefully have some ideas there. I did have the 1 star there, so I succeeded, which means I can take a 73 card. And we got a bone knife. A knife you found searching a native's corpse. Strangely, when you spin it, it points north when it stops. It gives me an additionist to fight. It is a fetish card. When it leaves your inventory, I must banish it, and it has 6. Now, since it has aggressiveness, I can actually add it to my club, which makes it a much more powerful weapon. And that's 6. I can add this all the way up to the top, because obviously you can't go higher than 6 on a 6-sided die. But now I have a fully functional weapon for fighting, not necessarily for hunting. So, slight wee bit of difference. Oh, yes, there is. Oh, so there be. All right, what is happening now? I want to go that way. So I'm going to spend the 1. I really want that bamboo. It's going to help with some some building, and then I think I have a way of getting this crystal fragment here. So I'm going to move. It tossed me 1 card. I don't want that card. Put that right into this card because my hand limit is full. And now I move to this terrain. While I'm there, I'm going to build the blowpipe. The blowpipe costs me 2, however, 2 of my life force, but I have access to bamboo, so that's a -2, so this is free. It has a keyword vigilance. Nothing here is vigilant, but since this has so many pips, I'm just going to add this blowpipe to this stack. All right, and that is good. Now, I'm also going to build the shovel. The shovel is going to cost me 3 -1 because I have access to bamboo, so I need to draw 2. I get to keep one of these cards. Bolas. Thank you. That's what I wanted. It's definitely what I wanted. Shoot. So I'm going to put the torch back. I get to keep the shovel. I'm sorry. I get to keep the bolas. And I built the shovel. That's why I spent those 2. I'm going to add this to the woven basket. It has a stamina. And now, since there's 4 pips and these share the same keyword, the woven basket item is going to go up to 5 and make a nice little super item there. I am going to I want to get that bolas in play because it's such a good hunting card. But let me see. I'm going to do this. I'm going to flip this guy. The rift. A narrow crevice snakes along the ground 12 feet ahead of you. There's a good chance that some crystal fragments are hidden at the bottom, but you might also be wasting your time. So I can do a climb action. You're locked in at 2 cards, and you need 2 successes to carefully get down to the bottom. If you succeed, you banish this card. So I definitely want to do that. So how do I want to do this? So I'm locked into drawing 2 cards, and then I have ways of getting additional successes. I have none of my items have the climb symbol, so I have nothing to help me with a climb action. I want to make sure they're calling it a climb action on this little thing here. They call it a climb action. All right, we're good. So I'm going to draw 2 cards to do the rift. I drew 1 star and a 7. So I'm going to, in the result phase, I can discard this during the result step in action in order to apply the following effect, star, so I succeed. I was hoping to hold on to that for something else, but this is fine. I get to keep 1 of these cards. I'm going to keep remember, and I'm going to discard the rest, and now since I succeed, I pull a 576, and we banish that card. So we're going to pull out the 576. It says, you inch your way along the rocky ledge, straining your eyes in an attempt to catch a glimpse of anything in the dark depths of the crevice. You have paced along the bottom of the river for an hour without seeing even the faintest pink glow or hearing any buzzing sounds, aside from the occasional insect. Frustrated, you steer yourself for an ascent to the surface. Okay, so now this gets banished, and I have to do another climb test, and I just got rid of my extra star, which is kind of rough. So we just were basically on a wild goose chase, unfortunately. So this game is trolling us, which is, it happens. So I need to draw 2 cards again. Hopefully I'll succeed this time. A star and a curse. And now, unfortunately, we're going to have to burn this card, because if I don't, we're going to have to draw it again. During the results tab in action, I can draw 3 additional cards, and those successes add to my total. And yep. So I drew 3 additional cards, and we are good. I've more than succeeded now. So all these cards are discarded. I get to keep 1 of these cards. I'll keep the think card. And since I succeeded, this has the timer over here. So that means it's just discarded into the past. When it's resolved, I take a 101 card. Now I already have a 101 card. I'm going to take a die from my supply over here. I'm going to roll. I'm going to take the second 101 card of the remaining 4 in my collection. So even though I'm already tired, I still have to take another tired. You are feeling increasingly drowsy and struggling to stay awake. You cannot wait to find a safe, comfortable place to rest. I pulled this card. Now I had a 50% chance of pulling a card that had a symbol that would make me discard cards. I did not. So I take this card, I add it to my hand, and then the old tired card will go back into my Rolodex here. We now add the 112 to the table. Large bubbles grow and pop sickeningly at the surface of the mire. The foul smell they release makes you gag and dry heave. All right, so you see a new symbol. That symbol, if that means you cannot craft items there. You cannot make sure there's no numbers on there. E. You cannot craft items, you cannot rest, and you cannot make a fire, is I believe the three things that you're prohibited from doing. Yes, rest, craft, and fire cannot happen. We're going to add a 7. So that's going to go there, but since we are playing the Crystal's song, we are now going to replace that 7 with one of the special crystal cards. I really need to hunt. All right, what's going to happen now? So I'm going to do this think action, which I can return 1 card from the discard pile to my hand. I want to take the +3 cards. All right, and now I'm going to play this card. I can randomly take up to 7 cards from this pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can add 1 to my hand. The rope would have been nice for climbing. I'm gonna take the card that allows me to take a card from the discard pile, add it to my hand. These are the only 2 remaining cards in the draw pile. That's fine. And I'm going to put all these 6 back in the discard pile. So it's a good array of cards here. All right. Now I'm going to play the so this goes in the discard pile. I'm going to play the Remember card to get another card from the discard pile into my hand. To think action 0/0. I would like to get. Already tired, so that could work. The +2 stars, or do I want to get the 1 star? I'll get the +2 stars. All right, so we are going to try to get this crystal fragment. We are going to do a test. We can draw exactly 0 cards, and we need 4 stars. So how am I going to do this? I am going to play this in the result step to pull 3 cards. So I just want 2 stars. So that's 1, 2. There's my 2 stars that I needed, and 3. So I actually got 3 stars. So I'm 1 shy. So I'm going to also do this in the result step. That gives me +2 stars. So I succeed. Now I can keep one of these cards. I'm going to keep this one. And now since I played this, I have to take a 1/0/1 card. Again, that's also the same card for the tired. I roll. There's only 4 left in there, so I'm going to take the third 1/1 card. 1, 2, 3. It has that symbol, so I'm going to take this card, put the old tired back, and now, well, actually before I take this card, so it has that symbol, so I'm going to resolve this symbol. For every state card I have in my hand, not including the one I just picked up, I have to discard 2 cards from my life force into the discard pile. 1 and 2. Now I replace this card with this card, and this tired state goes here. These cards go to the discard. I successfully did this action, so this card is going to go into my inventory, in my underneath my satchel card, and we are going to put a 7. We're going to put that number in place. So 72 is going to now enter the scene. The ground is soggy and the air is damp and humid. A cacophony from an army of croaking frogs rises from among the swamp grass. And that has that symbol. We want it to make a fire. And it has bamboo. And it has a secret number in the corner over here, which is an 87. So I'm going to put that in the past, and we're going to pull the 87 out. And it seems you have found, so they have the thumbs up, say we're on the right path. The thumbs up, you seem to have found a hidden path running westward where tangled rushes are apparently hiding the entrance to a maze of vegetation. So now we're going to put a number 2 into play over here, but since we need to replace it, that goes in the past, and we put another crystal shard thing right here. So I am going to need to eat, kids, is really what needs to happen right now. So, shoot. I am going to do a couple things. I need 3 successes to draw 2 cards. And that's fine. So I'm going to have the cards I need to make this work. What I'm going to do is war paint. I don't have access to that. All right. I'm going to spend 2 cards so I can walk. And I'm going to try to go back to where this started. So I'm going to take the remember, because I think that'll be helpful, and I'm going to go here. All right, so I can go anywhere I have access to. So I took 2 cards because of that, and now I go to this location because it's already revealed. It's one quick way to get around the board. We are going to want to build a fire there, but that might not be doable. Fine. We are going to draw 2 cards so I can build the bolas. Oosh. That ain't good. I don't want to draw 2 cards. I'm going to put in remember. I don't even know if I'll need the bolas, to be honest with you. I'm going to play remember to take a card out of the deck. So I'm going to actually take, well, there's a will, there's a way. Nope, I don't want to draw 3 cards when I have nothing. Inventory, I'm going to take, I think there's one more star card. Yep, in there. So now I have 2 floating stars in my hand. I'm going to do this hunt action. You're locked in at drawing 2 cards unless you could subtract from that. I cannot. Now I can build the war paint for free, which I will do. And I really have no way to reduce that action. Maybe instead of taking the star, I'm going to take, so I just took that card, remember? There's another card I can take in here. These are all bunched up. Another card I can take in here that I think is -2 and a 7, which would actually be much more effective than just this star. Where are you? And I just don't want to risk death. Here you go, lucky star, -2 and or a 7. All right, so I could discard this during the cost step. So I'm going to do the hunt, -2 and or a 7. All right, so I'm doing a hunt action, so I need to use anything that has that target symbol. So I'm going to use this whole thing here, and combined, all these items combined give me 2 stars and a star 7. Since I'm committing a -2 and or a 7, I have successfully done this, and I've gotten 3 stars, so that's a success without drawing any cards, which, considering I have nothing in my life force, that's really important. So since I committed this, that's going to go in the discard pile, and we're going to carry out the results now because of a successful action. I take a corresponding number of 150 cards. Now the 150 cards are all different kinds of, they represent the result of your hunt, or if you're really unlucky, you just get 2 empty-handed. And if you were bloody, certain other things happen, but we're not. So we are going to choose these, we'll shuffle these, good, and we're going to choose 2 of them to represent the results of our hunt today. So one is empty-handed, the other one is a white hare. So reveal them. If any character is bloody, you must discard one of those cards without the keyword predator. Heads up, there's some predators in here. None of them have the keyword bloody. Oh, none of my characters are bloody, so we're good. I choose one of the remaining cards that represents the result of the hunt and return the other cards. So I'm going to return this empty-handed back to the deck, and I'm going to now take this white hare. White hare is going to give me 2 1/0/1 cards. 1/0/1 cards, or I'm sorry, 0/0/1 cards. They are all food. They have the stamina keyword, so I can add them both to my woven basket, and that's going to get me up to 6 because they're 1 pip each. I was at 5, so I maxed out at 6. All right, this goes into the past. It has that symbol, and then a couple more things happen. This goes away into the past, and it is because it has the green to gold symbol. So this goes away and is replaced by a gold 74. So we're going to take the gold 74 from the deck and we're going to put that into play. You notice what looks like some older animal tracks. The tracks may not be the freshest, but with some patience and the appropriate equipment, you hope to be able to catch some game. Now, this is a much harder test. You need to draw 5, you need 4 plus successes, and you get 250 cards. Often, although 250 cards are not always the greatest, so, be careful there. So, what do I want to do? I would like to get a fire figure into play, but I do not want to risk dying. So what I'm going to do, because it's going to cost me 2, I'm going to eat. So it's randomly take 3 to 5 cards from the discard pile, put them in your thing. If you have the fire resource, you can shuffle. I might need to hunt again. This is gross. Did not get a lot of food is what is really going on here. That's fine. So I'm gonna eat, make sure I don't die. I'm gonna this lowers this pip down to 5. This card goes into the past. Nope, I'm sorry, this card gets returned. It says return this on there, so it just goes right there, and I get to take 3 of these cards from my discard pile and put them into my deck. Alright. So 1, 2, 3. And these get shuffled in with this last remaining card here, which is good. We are now going to go here. No. Shuffle 3. I'm going to draw 1 card to move here. Cannot build this for free. I can build this for 1, but I'm already filled up. I'm going to draw 2 to build the fire. I have nothing to help me with building fire. So this is a curse and the bow. So I did this action here. It was 2 plus and a 0. So I didn't need any stars, which is why I didn't really look at the cards. I just pulled 2. I get to discard this, and I get to put a fire figure on the board. Now what happens to the fire? If you have the fire resource, you could discard this card, so I don't need to do that for test. So this is discarded, and then we put a 38 into play. This goes here. There's a pineapple, some stuff. More tracks that seem to be going off. I don't know where they're going, but no secret numbers that I can see. Maybe some food. There's a pineapple. Not sure how helpful that's going to be. And now, since we have fire, again, this is randomly take 3 or 6 cards. 6 if you have the fire resource. So this gets reduced to a 4 because we're using that item. And it's a very strange basket shuffle food. And we're going to take 6 more cards and shuffle this into our deck. And this 001 gets returned. So our stamina pile is still garbage. Not sure what I'm going to be able to do about that. But we'll see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But yeesh. Five cards. No one's bloody. 5 cards, 4 successes. We only have access to this from, so where the arrows point, it shows where you have access to something from. So that arrow says we can only do this test from there. I guess we could go down there. That's not awful. All right, so I'm gonna spend, since I have access to wood, I'm gonna pull 1 and then play the bow. So it's a craft action, 3+ and a 0, but -2 if you have wood. So that's fine. And now we have another thing to help with hunting. We might go back and try our luck with the 2 5-0s because Lord knows I'm going to need some food soon. I'm going to spend 2 to move down to here. Neither great. I'll keep the knowledge as power. I'm going to move to this, and it was 2 because it was 2+ and a 0. I'm going to play this. I'm going to use this pip because we still have that herbal mixture in play. I get to take 1003 card, and I'm going to put that with the other one. Now I have 2 experience points in my satchel, and that's fine. Since no, I still don't have that resource. That's the thing that I can make a fire really easily with. If you look at the Fortiflora, the card I put on my satchel earlier. All right, while I'm here, I'm going to do the 0+0 card and pull a 36. Well, I probably won't need to move this. We'll see. So I'm going to pull the 36 out of the deck because I'm doing that. I think it is a Ghosty Investigate. So I'm doing the Ghosty Investigate action, 36. Nope. Nope. Where are you? There you go. Sharp rocks at the end of the beach might prevent you from going further, so you consider going around them to restore the shore by the edge of the sea. This is going to go here. So this has a sail action on there, but you have that little step. So that means that if we were going to sail, everyone would need to be there. Every character that's actually playing. So in a solo game, obviously just you. But if this was not a solo game, we'd have to do some more. I'm going to do that 53 action, which is going to cost me 1 card. It's another fire, which is pointless at this point. And we're going to pull the 53 out of here. 53, there are 2 of them, so I'm going to roll my extra dice. So take the second one. All right. You find scattered drifts of pieces of driftwood and bamboo that should prove useful in helping you to craft a few things. Immediately after this revealed, one of all character may choose 1 card with the keyword Vigilance in the discard pile and add it to their hand or shuffle it back in the action deck. I'm going to shuffle. That's actually really not as helpful. So all the cards in my hand, all the items in my hand that have craft actions, they all need stone or vine. So that's not as helpful as it might have been. It's bamboo and wood. But we are going to take a card with the keyword Vigilance and either add it to my hand or shuffle it back into the deck. You know what? I'm gonna stack this. So I don't want to draw that many cards. All right, I'm gonna take the Remember card. I'm going to add it to my hand. I'm going to discard the Rudimentary Flint. Now, the Remember card, I'm going to play that, and I'm going to add the card I really wanted back to my hand, and that's going to be that -2 7 card. The 2 hearts. 2 stars, I mean. I'm going to take the 2 stars. Yeah, I'm going to take the 2 stars because I'm already tired and there's only 1 more tired card in the deck that has that symbol, so I'm going to gamble a little bit there. Alright, now what? I'm going to try to go hunt again because I'm really desperate for food, and I have the cards, I think, to pull this off. So I'm going to build the bolas for 2 cards. That's fine. This goes away, and the bolas go here. Now, will and aggressiveness don't match up. I can't add this to this even though it's the same keyword as the top, and only the top matters. Remember when I added vigilance, it didn't matter, but when I added the war paint, it did. Only top card matters for the sake of increasing the pips. And at the top, if you were able to, by some kind of other effect, discard and deconstruct an item and got rid of the top card, the card below it now becomes the top card, and that is now the card that gives you access to the that card. That gives you that's the card that those keywords are the ones that now control. So we have a lot of fight here, and I have a lot of stars in my hand, and a -3 as well. So we are going to draw one more card to, don't want that, to move here. And now I think this will work. So our discard pile is now our deck, right? I'm going to try not to draw from there. So I need to get 4 stars to have a successful hunt here, right? And we'll see what we draw. I can 3 stars, 4 stars. So I'm going to spend the -3 because it's a 5, 4 plus. So I'm going to spend the -3. That means that I only need to draw 2. But then I'm going to use this item, it goes down to a 4. I'm going to use this item, which goes down to a 3. I'm going to hold on to the bolas for now, because just in case I pull something that I might pull. So right now, because I use those 2 items, I have a total of 2 star 7s, 2 star 7s, and 3 stars. I'm going to add a 4th star, and now I have succeeded in doing what I need to do on that score. So I have a successful hunt. Those go into the discard pile. Now we're going to pull 2 50s. 2 250s. Now the 250s, again, aren't always the greatest, but I'm desperate for some food and had no easy way to get a different kind of hunting ground. So we are going to pull, we only had 4 stars. We didn't pull any cards because of the items we had that were in play. And with these 4 stars, I'm going to pull 2 250 cards. First is a snake. It gives me experience but no food. The second one's empty-handed. Oh, that's so brutal. I'm not bloody. So what's going to happen now is, I'm going to keep this out. I get to return the empty-handed. This is really bad. I'm going to keep the snake, which is represents the result of my awful hunt. I'm going to subtract. It says locked. You have to do this right away. And that is I think it's the sneak, the be careful hide. So be careful hide. I'm going to use this item to give me a -2 and a star 7. And then I'm going to add this star, so I have succeeded. And so since I succeeded, I get a 333, a 003 experience. That goes into the past because I defeated it, and I get another experience point, which was really pointless. Shoot. So we're gonna have to risk it now. All right, that is fine. I'm gonna shuffle this up. If I pull a curse, we die, and this is really unfortunate turn of events for this little endeavor here. Just not get the greatest of opportunities to get food, even though I was pretty set up to do some battle. But so basically every time you're drawing out of this deck, you have a roughly 10% chance of dying, right? So if you're drawing 3 times, that 10% stacks, so you're 30%. Very, very rough math here. 30% if you're drawing 3 cards to actually end up having cursed yourself, and that's fine. Just cut the edge there a little bit. All right. So we are going to draw from our discard pile to do another hunt. I'm going to reduce this to a 2. I'm going to reduce this to a 2. They're both at the same measure right now. So I have 2 stars, 3 stars, 2 star 7s, and I need to draw 3 cards. So 30%, this is not going to go well for us, and I pull not a curse, not a curse, and not a curse. And what did I pull? So I had 3 stars and 2 star 7s. So I pulled a total of 6 stars, and unfortunately did not get a 7 to add to that number in any real way. I get to keep one of these cards. I'm going to keep this one, and then I get to shuffle these 2 cards back in. So I'm still pulling it on my discard pile, remember? So I haven't added anything to my life force. This is not my life force. This is basically my death counter, because it can happen pretty quick. So we're kind of at the mercy of a few pulls. Now the nice thing when you can start adding advanced actions is, again, as I said earlier, your life force will get bigger and bigger, so you'll have even less of a chance of pulling that curse. Now, we had 6 stars, right? So what happens? We still only pull 2. Unfortunately, if we had 7 stars, if I pulled a little bit better, obviously it could have been worse. If I pulled a little bit better, we would have had another card to draw from, and more likely to have a better result of this hunt. So what am I pulling? I pull empty-handed and a crystal fragment. What? I must take one of the following actions. Wow. It's still not food. So empty-handed goes back into here. And I'm going to take this. It's a 0/0. So now I have another crystal fragment underneath the thing. As you cautiously make your way to avoid startling any potential prey, you stumble across a large crystal fragment emitting a low buzzing sound and a pinkish glow. You must take one of the following actions. You pick up the crystal and slip it into your bag. Sure. And we're going to have to do this again. So I'm going to choose one card, put it back in my hand from the discard pile, and I will choose another. I'm going to do the -2 star. Yeah. Doing the -2 star. We pretty much have one more shot at this, because we're messing with fire. So I was lucky to get that remember action. This is a discard pile. It's going to be random. I'm just going to draw from the top. I am going to reduce this to a 1. I'm going to reduce this to a 1. I'm doing that hunting action again. So and I'm going to play the -2 star. So I have a total of 1, 2, 3. I have my 5 stars. But I still have to draw 1 card, because it's supposed to be locked at 5. I've only reduced that 4, and I have my 5 stars because, again, I have 2 of the star 7s, so both of those star 7s now count as a star, because that lucky star, it's a curse, and we are dead. That was really gross. But anyway, that's 7th continent. It's cool. It's probably better I didn't win. I would definitely recommend anyone who buys the classic box pick up this curse. It's a much better way to learn the game, and you can see there's a whole bunch of actions I didn't do. I got a little unlucky. I never really had. I would have had it at the end to do this, to get this other crystal fragment, but I was obviously much more worried about finding food. Our hunting did not go as well as it might have, so we were kind of stuck doing certain things. And there's certain decisions, like if I wasn't filming this and trying to show some of the ins and outs of this game, I might have chosen differently. I might not have. It's really hard to kind of recreate. But hopefully this was a really good introduction to this game for those who haven't played it. For those who've played it a lot, hopefully this was entertaining and you are laughing at my plight, because I'm sure we've all been there. But I will definitely play it again, because I'm curious how it ends, and it's a much quicker, more consolidated experience of the mechanics of 7th Continent. That is for sure. But that is all that she wrote for solo playthroughs in our introduction to 7th Continent. I will consider putting a curse on the site in the future. Maybe. It's going to be hard. I mean, some of these playthroughs, I mean, even going through, I mean, it got to the point with the Voracious Goddess that I pretty much knew what I needed to do like 70% of the way, and it still probably took 6 hours to get through a playthrough as I was still figuring out the last couple of pieces. But this game can take a while, and again, if hunting's not going especially well, I remember I successfully hunted 3 times and all I got was 2 foods. That is not normal. I mean, there's definitely some better hunts. I mean, even the 250 deck can be really rough, but even then, there's some cards there would have given me a substantial amount of food that I would have pretty easily been able to ride to a victory here, or at least a completion of the story that we were involved with. But was not meant to be. That is for sure. But again, hope everyone enjoyed this playthrough. If you want to see more, if anyone wants to see another playthrough of this, definitely put that in the comments. I'd be curious to see how much interest there really is for Seventh Continent on this channel. But either way, I'll be back next week, Sunday at 9 o'clock, with a new game in a new adventure in a surely epic battle royale of some sort. Battle royale of wits, if not more. But till then, hope everyone is safe, be well. Thanks for playing, or thanks for joining me as I played, and happy gaming. Take care.